What's up, friends? It's your friend Isaac, and today we're going to do some wheelie tips because on my first wheelie video we talked about like, hey, here's some general ideas on how to do wheelies, but then I got a lot of questions in my Instagram and other places just saying, hey dude, tell me more about like this or that. I'm struggling with falling left or falling right or any of that stuff, and also about riding wheelies on different bike sizes. So I'm going to take a couple of my bikes out. We're gonna go family bike ride, and then I'm gonna swap my bikes out and kind of tell you the differences that I feel riding the different styles. I have a 27.5 PK, I have my 29 Big Ripper, and I have a 26 Haro Master. So each one of them ride not dramatically different, but just different. So I'll give you the different pointers that I have for each one of those bikes, and I'll kind of walk you through the gearing as well, and see if that any of this stuff helps you out getting more comfortable and more adept at riding wheelies. It's the same concept though, man. Pull up, lean back, feather your brakes, and stay in that light, easy spot. So anyway, we'll check out the bikes and then we'll get going. All right, so here, this is my PK Ripper. It's my favorite bike. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite bike to ride. It's a SE Racing PK Ripper 27.5. It has absolutely stock chainring and cassette rear hub. So whatever, that's just bone stock. Super comfy. I do run my seat a little bit higher than most, I believe. What I do is I like to look at, when I try and set how high it's going to be, I look and try and get my seat and my handlebars about 1 inch below my handlebars. I do that. That's just the way I rode my bike back in the 80s, and it seems to just be what I'm comfortable with now when I'm riding these bigger bikes. So this is a fairly stock. I mean, I've got an upgraded, this is a Night Bike Co stem. This is some Jacob Santos 2-piece bars with the 8-inch rise. I just like the larger bars for riding wheelies because they're a little bit more comfortable. But everything else, absolutely stock. This is a 26 Haro Master. This bike has a really cool story. We interviewed John Bulgens from Haro, and I told him like, hey, I used to ride a Haro Master, and so he told me he had the 26-inch sample bike for the 2021 Legends in his office, and he would send it out to me if I covered the cost on it. So we did that. So this is actually the bike. If you just type in Haro Master 26 DMC Legend 2021 and you see a mint bike, that's the bike that you see all over in the pictures on the online stores and all that stuff. It's kind of cool. If you look at the bottom bracket, there's no serial numbers on it, so that's kind of interesting. But other than that, that's just my little history of the bike. This is a 26-inch, and it is running the stock chainring and freewheel. The only thing I did is I added a front brake, which doesn't affect wheelies at all, but I'm just showing you so this bike looks different. And I changed the bars from the typical Haro cruiser bars to some knee savers, which are also taller. Again, just like on the PK, taller bars. I like to run taller bars. And then over here we have this is last year's Big Ripper. This is my first big bike. Absolutely love it. Stock. It's a stock gearing 33 ride out supply sprocket. So that's the stock sprocket there. And I do run a ride out supply 17-inch freewheel in the back of this bike because I think it gives me the best wheelie gearing. It's not great for riding fast or long distances, but it does make it easier to pop the wheel up and then control and keep the wheel up because it has higher engagement than a stock freewheel. My seat runs a little bit low, mostly because my son rides this bike, but if you see, it's still fairly close to that, maybe 2 inches between the handlebar and the seat there. So it's just a little bit different. This one also runs the Night Bike Co stem and the 4-piece 8-inch rise Broke Boys Santos bars, which are the exact same as these, only these are 2-piece. That is the 4-piece model. I just spray them with some clear coat and leave them because I really like the quality of the welds that they achieved on those bars. So those are the 3 bikes you'll see me riding today. This one has spoke covers, which I believe does make your wheelies a little bit better. So does the PK. So anyway, let's get riding. So this is it's a church by our house, and when it's empty, it's a perfect little circle. Parking lot's flat, and we can practice our bikes. Okay, so the first thing on the PK Ripper, first things first on the PK, what you want to do, this is every single wheelie. This one's a little different because it has hydraulic disc brakes, which lock. It's harder to feather than, say, a Duro, a Big Ripper, the Haro, any of the other bikes, even the ones with disc brakes like the Duro. Hey, what's up, man? So what I'm going to do is, you'll see me press down with my stronger foot. My right leg is my stronger foot. The way I tell people is, what if you were to kick a field goal or a soccer ball, what foot would you kick with? That's your power foot. So for me, it's my right foot. I'm going to push down, and at the same time, I'm going to try and pull as evenly on my handlebars. My right arm is stronger than my left arm, so it's easy to get squirrely and pull this way. So just focus on pulling evenly up. I always leave 1 or 2 fingers, 1 or 2 or 1, there we go, on my brake lever, because you need to be able to feather instantly. And usually when you pull up, I almost have to feather right away to keep from looping back. And then once I'm in that position, then I can almost just let go. I'll feel the balance point of where, if I go back too far, where I'm going to flip backwards, and so I can adjust my pedaling to that. So that's kind of a more advanced tip. When you're just starting out, just pedal and feather to keep from, I'm doing this, feather to keep from flipping backwards. All right, here we go. So you'll see me pull up, trying to avoid my son, pull up, feather, and now I'm in that balance point. I'm going pretty slow, but that's just so I can kind of talk to you while I do this. So I'm going to pull as evenly as I can on both arms, pull up and press down on the crank at the same time. So down and up. And now it's just little light feather of the brakes. I run out of room. So up, feather, and then it's just light. That one, the hydraulics, man, they'll grab your rim. Sometimes you'll come down before you're ready. So let's see if I can pull this back a little bit. See if this helps your plane of view. It's my first time filming with this camera, so I don't really know. I'm gonna try and get over in the shade. It's still Arizona, it's still hot. Ouch. That one I pulled up weird. All right, try it again. Here's my wife and my badass daughter. See, that one I pulled up sketchy. I recovered it. So doing these short ones, just try and show you the pull-up part of it. That was the easier, smoother pull. All right, so that's the PK Ripper. It's super nimble, it's super agile. Love this bike. Easily my favorite bike. Aiden, can I see your bike? What? Let me see your bike. Okay. I'm gonna switch to the Big Ripper. Hold that. Deodorant, man, I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
All right, let me give this guy a roll. It's been kind of a minute. It's been a little while since I rode the Big Ripper. So it's been a while since I rode the Big Ripper. The brakes are, these have V brakes, so cable pull brakes. They're not as, it's easier to feather, I believe, in my opinion, on these bikes. But you can see I'm already pedaling pretty fast and I'm just going slow. But that's because of that 17-inch ride out supply free wheel. Oh. And this bike is so much bigger. You don't have to pull up as hard, in my opinion, as you do on the smaller bikes. Oh. Hey girl, there we go. So just a smoother free wheel, or a smoother wheelie experience on these bikes. Less agile, more comfortable and smoother. The wheels are smaller, so there's a little bit more adjustment that I'm not used to, of like, because my PK wheels are wide, so it's a little different. But so here we got, if you see, I almost fell back there. The brakes are a little bit less grippy than my PK, but you just put your feet down. Just be ready to drop your feet back if you need to. Also wear a helmet, just in case. So PK, Locky, this one, excuse me, more spongy, but way easier to feather. My son learning how to ride with no hands. His favorite thing to do. All right, so that's the PK, or I'm sorry, the Big Ripper. Next I'll do the Haro 26, and then I'll do the Duro. All right. You guys, it's so hard to switch between all these different sizes. I have a lot of sympathy for the SE hoedown guys this weekend, jumping on all these different bikes, and everyone's saying they have to be perfect. You guys don't. Here's my little rant. There's a video of my buddy Wicho Films PR was showing a dirt jumper to my friend Kat, and somebody commented that he couldn't wheelie that bike very well and questioned his riding skills. That dude is used to riding a fat PK and a monster quad, and if he jumps on a dirt jumper 26 that he doesn't ride, just got an hour before that, do not expect that dude to be able to just pick up and wheelie down the road one-handed doing jumps. That's not real life. All right, Haro, a little squirrely, much smaller jumping on a 26 and a 29. So The concepts are still the same though. Press down and pull up as smooth as you can. Lean back, tap the brake. Oh. You see I kind of got this way. I couldn't bring it back. I usually just stop. I don't fight it. I like to be smooth with them. You can stand up and adjust that stuff. But for this purpose, showing you to pull up, not really worth it. So there's a balance point. Now these ones you can swerve a little bit easier, in my opinion, than you can on the bigger bikes. At least I can. But I have zero swerve game on a big bike, but on this one I can get a little squirrely. No feet. And when you take your feet off, it's just put your feet in front of you. Your body, your brain already knows what it needs to do with your feet to balance, and then just tap the brake to stay up. You have to have some speed though, because you're gonna run out from tapping and you're not pedaling. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Again, Haro Master. Sit comfy, lean back, feather, coast if you want. All right, next bike. I'm gonna grab my son's Duro. I'm gonna get some water because Phoenix is hot. All right, this here I didn't introduce it, but this is a bone stock OM Duro. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop the gear down to almost nothing because it makes it super easy, and I can go slow and kind of talk through it. So again, the lower the gear, if you see I'm pedaling like crazy and not going anywhere, the lower the gear, the easier it is to get the front wheel up. So you won't see me have to lean down and yank as hard because the gear, just pressing down will get it up. So if you have a geared bike like a Fast Ripper or a Duro like this, you don't have to worry so much about pulling up hard. Your cranks will do it for you if you're in a low gear. So now I'm starting to bottom out. So, but if you see, I don't have to pull up too hard. It's just pedal down and the bike comes up. And a little bit more touchy too, like in the lower gears. Now if I drop it back while I'm pedaling, I just change the gear once I'm up. Easier to do. Let's slow it back down. Now here's a harder gear. I'll have to pull a little harder. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of what I talk about when I'm giving advice and I say pull up evenly, pedal and feather the brakes for the wheelie. And you can do it on any bike, any size. It's all the same. Oh, all right, you guys. Just got in from outside in the heat. It was cooling off compared to Arizona, even though I'm a sweaty mess. But hopefully that helped you understand a little bit more about like how to do wheelies, how to pull up, the mechanics of pressing down and pulling up evenly at the same time, feathering your brakes. I mean, it's really the secret to the wheelie is wear a helmet. But the secret to it is leaning back, and you're going to feel, if this is you riding straight, you want to pull back and stay in the same ride. You don't want to lean forward. You don't want to be way back. You just want to stay in the same comfortable riding position if you're going straight on two wheels. Pulling back and staying in that same position until you feel weightless. Feather the brakes as you start to go back and start to loop out. You just feather. You don't lock the brake. You just, tap it, squeeze it, maybe a quarter of a squeeze. And that'll be enough to drop your wheel or start your wheel going down. Now, as your wheel starts to go down and you pedal, the pedaling will push your wheel back up. So you just continue to smoothly pedal, pressing harder if you feel yourself getting beyond that balance point to get your wheel back up. And then it's just continuously to stay inside that sweet spot, that balance point. If you start to fall forward, pedal harder. If you start to go back, feather your brakes. And between those two motions of pressing down on the pedal to keep your wheel back and squeezing your feathering and just kind of tapping or lightly touching your brakes as you start to loop back to keep yourself from falling backwards, that's going to keep you in that sweet spot. And then it's just a repetitive thing. So what I tell people, it's almost like when I was in like deep into like lifting weights, you would do repetitions and sets. So what I tell people is do 10 rolls. Like I just go to an empty church. I don't try and go, like the going blocks and blocks and blocks will happen as you get more comfortable with riding and using these new muscles that you're going to be engaging, not knowing it. So you have to build up your strength and you have to build up your mind to understand what's happening. So do 10 runs up and down a parking lot that's safe and away from cars. No matter how far you go, do 10 and then rest for a couple minutes. Then do another 10 and rest for a couple minutes and then do another 10. And basically just do like 3, 4, 5 sets. As your body gets stronger, your hands will get stronger. It's just training your brain, that feeling of falling backwards and falling forwards and keeping yourself in that zone. But just repetitively doing it over and over and over, regardless of how far you went. Like, it's easy to go, man, I just can't get it today, I'm just going to stop. Well, you're not going to get any better when you just stop or give up or quit. But just go until it's that smooth and you can get down the parking lot, and you'll start to get to the point where you can take your feet off, where you can coast, just feathering your brakes. And then you'll notice when you're riding and you do a wheelie, how much farther you can go because you've put in the work on those shorter wheelies, just getting the balance point. So, if you have the ability to go on a long bike ride and somewhere safe, and you want to do those 10 on a long bike ride, by all means, man, do it. I just prefer to practice in a place where it's controlled, like a parking lot, where I know, there's not going to be cars coming out of nowhere to get me or hit me. So have fun with it. That's the end goal, is just have fun. This shouldn't be something that stresses you out or causes you any kind of like, it's just fun. Wheelies are fun. They were fun when you were a kid. They're fun now. Don't take it too seriously, and just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the game. And eventually it'll happen. Sometimes it'll happen faster for some people, slower for others. That's just life. That's just any sport. Doesn't mean it's impossible for everyone to do it. It's not. Anybody can do this. It's just believing in yourself, putting in the work, building up the muscles, and training your brain on what that feels like. And I always keep doing this, but that's my feathering your brake movement. So train your brain to do what you're trying to do, and it'll do it. So good luck. Comment below if you have any questions. Let me know if this was helpful. If it was, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stuff like this. And hopefully you will be out there riding wheelies with us soon, and dominating and showing me how much farther you can ride than I can, or the different tricks you can do with your wheelies that I can't. So I hope this helps you at the end, is what I'm trying to say. But have fun, ride your bikes, enjoy life. Talk to you soon.